Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be talking about some of the live activities that are going to be available at the upcoming North American Fan Festival for Final Fantasy XIV. It's so close! Next week! In 9 days I'm flying out to Vegas. To think that we are just so close to starting that train on the expansion hype, I'm ready to get into it. But the event itself is usually a good bit of fun as well. In the previous years, for both of the North American fan festivals, there's been a variety of in-game events. There's been some actual like scavenger hunt style events around where you have to go complete certain objectives, and there's usually like mini games that kind of represent gold saucer mini games. One of them last year was, for example, to throw a dragoon spear into, I guess, like a small area and to try and hit the bullseye or something like that. And we've got a full list of them, and it really looks like they're going a little bit more all out in the variety of activities that are available, especially the in-game activities for this year's Fan Festival North America. So let's get looking at some of those events. For some reason the website's lagging a little bit as I'm trying to scroll down. That didn't happen last time. But anyway, so the first one is the Yojimbo Special Battle. Now, every time we get some sort of unique battle challenge that is something that's never been experienced before. For the first year, we had Odin, which eventually made his way into the game via trial in patch 2.5. Oh, my nose itches. Then the following year, or the following Fan Fest for North America, we had the 24-man version of Proto Ultima, which eventually would find its way added into the Dunskaith raid as a trash pull between the second and third boss. And this year, we're going to be getting the 8-player version of the Yojimbo Special Battle. Now, Jimmy's been someone that we've wanted a trial for ever since seeing him in the Kugane Castle as a 4-man dungeon boss, and on top of that, with certain events that have been happening and a certain little side story quest, people were suspecting we would probably see a Yojimbo Special Battle at some point. Now, I'm going to presume that this special battle has no relation to that side quest and would be available to the players probably in a patch 4.5 or 4.55 area. Hopefully, they'll actually talk about that at the live letter at FanFest. Not the opening keynote, but the live letter itself. Looking forward to it. Scrounge up enough gil to get Yojimbo to participate. Let's see if we can survive the Zanmato. So looking forward to getting that done. No mention of a shirt, though, which is a little disappointing because I would love an I Beat Yojimbo shirt or an I Paid Yojimbo shirt. The Challenge Roulette, this is also another classic event that they normally do. It's an 8-player event where it is a roulette. It is 2 roulette wheels, one of which will give you a challenge that you need to take on, a specific trial, you know, perhaps a primal or something along those lines. And then there's another wheel that will give you some sort of handicap that you have to do. So, for example, let's say you spin wheel number 1, and it's Stormblood, so we could probably get like Shinryu, Susanoo, Lakshmi, Byako, Suzaku, and Tsukiyomi. Let's just assume those are the 8 that are going to be on there. We have no idea. And then the other wheel will have a bunch of different challenges. It could be like, what's one? Extreme mode was a very simple one that's added there, much more difficult, obviously. In the previous years, I've seen ones where it's like 7 tanks and 1 healer. I've seen one where you have to swap stations, like with the person to your left or something like that, and just pick up wherever they left off. So you have to just immediately go to somebody else's keybinds and like whatever role they were playing and everything and adopt that. So there's been all sorts of crazy challenges where you have to like do things in the middle of battle, be ill-equipped to actually take on the battle, have to go up against the extreme mode, and that's usually one of the more exciting things if you're someone who's really looking forward to taking on some sort of unique way of approaching these trials that you've probably beaten a million times over. Now, the rest of these get interesting because you guys can already read what the third one is. Eureka Survival Challenge. Oh boy. But I actually like the idea here. So this is a 4 versus 4 player activity. So it's 2 teams of 4 going up against one another. You group up and race to a finish line against a rival party inside the Forbidden Lands of Eureka. The catch, your elemental level and gear will leave you extremely exposed. Can your team overcome the hordes of enemies in your way and make it to the goal first? So basically, you're going to be super low level, probably elemental level 1 if I had to guess, and your goal is going to be to sneak by all of the enemies and make your way to the final destination at the end of the track that they've created. Now, I don't know exactly how that's going to work out. I'm going to assume they're going to be watching people very closely, but I'm wondering what the exact rules are for that, because this is one of the few ways you're actually going to take Eureka and make it interesting inside of a fan festival event, so kudos to them for the idea. I used to love doing level 1 races in games like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XI, even earlier in Final Fantasy XIV. Denmo held a charity event, which was great, where we walked across the world, I think all like level 15s or something like that, and that was awesome. So having some sort of survival race is actually, I think, the best use of Eureka they could possibly have come up with for the event. So curious to see how that one's panning out, but looking forward to it. Kugane Tower Climb. Man, I like jump puzzles, but doing it in that setting, oh my goodness, that's gotta be frustrating. It's also a solo activity, so I wonder if people could just like walk up to the stations and try. It says that it says how far can you climb during the time limit, so it implies that they're basically going to say, hey, after 15 minutes the next person who's in line gets to go, and then each individual person has 15 minutes, or I don't know exactly how they're going to do it, but it's a solo activity. You're not on a team, and the first 30 people who actually make it to the top of the tower and the final jump down to the lamppost, very key that that final jump to the lamppost is included there, they will receive an exciting prize. So if you're going to FanFest and you're confident, I'm probably not going to get in the line for this. I don't usually get in too many of the lines for the various events. I just spend a lot of time talking to people and kind of absorbing the panels and stuff like that. But that being said, you know, if you want to receive this exciting prize, you might as well start practicing your Kugane Tower climb right now and see if you could do it within, like, I don't know, let's just assume it's 10 or 15 minutes, you know. 15 minutes, I assume, is the maximum they would let one person stay on a station. That's normally what they do for stuff like the special battle and the roulettes and stuff like that. So I'm going to assume it's the same. Then the Dueling Circle. This is another one of those really cool... It's a cool twist on an idea I would have never thought of. It's you fight 1 versus 1 against another player in the Dueling Circle in the Wolf's Den. And the twist is you have to use it... you have to do it using an arcade stick. So you have to do it like it's a fighting game. I want to know how the controls for that are going to work, but that's a pretty cool idea. And I know some people on the team, you know, on the community team in particular, that would probably get a pretty good kick out of participating in that. And you know, I've tweeted at them, letting them know that I suspect that they had a lot to do with it, and they've said that quite a few members of the team had something to do with that idea. That's a good idea. And then Fashion Leader Live. This is an 8-player activity. Come show everyone why glamour is the true endgame. Bring the fashionista skills you've honed in game and see if you can earn the title of the Fashion Leader. So that I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know if they have like people who are going to judge who the... oh, you know what it probably is? They're probably going to give you a ton of items, and you have to... And all of those players are going to compete maybe for the top score at like the fashion report, but then fashion report's got a limitation of how many times, so they'd have to like do something special. I don't know how that's gonna work. It's not described in its entirety, but if glamour's the true end game, then I guess glamour gets to be one of the events there. I like the variety of activities here. One thing I noticed is there's no traditional feast setup here, just for people to do normal 4v4 or anything, or 8v8 or anything like that. With the Feast Regional Championship, that's probably going to be the main thing for the Feast, and with the Dueling Circle as kind of the PvP alternative, that seems to be... These are like competitive activities, but they're not PvP competitive. The Eureka Survival Challenge, you know, trying to be one of the first 30 people to climb Kugane Tower, the Fashion Leader stuff, Dueling Circle. A lot of competitive activities that invoke PvE content in a unique way, and I'm glad to see these kind of events being some of the main features of the FanFest overall, because it's a great deal of variety compared to the number of PvE activities we're used to having. Like I remember dungeon speed running, which was I remember Frontlines was, oh boy, that was interesting to set up. I remember the Feast from the last one. So yeah, they're kind of breaking off and doing things that these are things that you could reasonably sort of do at home, but that you'll have a lot more fun doing with friends in Vegas. Yeah, maybe after a drink or two or something like that. Just don't get belligerent. They also have some of those Gold Saucer minigames I mentioned. They have Chocobo Racing. Roll Gasol Greens down the track as your motivation for your bows at speed to the finish line. Be the first to end and bathe in the admiration of your champion Chocobo. Now, I'm assuming that specifically, it almost sounds like the game of life, where you just like progress down the board or something like that until you reach the end. So I'm curious exactly how that's going to do. Roll your Gasol Greens down the track. I don't know if it's like a legit track where you have to roll it and then walk to the space or something like that. I don't know, but it's an 8-player activity. So it's going to have to take up... It's either going to be really small and it's like a little board game, or it's going to take up a lot of space, and it's going to be hilarious watching people do that. I also have the Crystal Tower Striker. This is one that is actually in the Gold Saucer. Swing your hammer down at the Crystal Tower Striker. It's a strength test minigame. So those are always fun. I love doing those at carnivals. So doing them here, it's going to be fun too. And then Monster Toss. I'm pretty sure they've had Monster Toss at other events as well. Make as many free throws with the monster within the time limit. Rack up those points. We promise those bombs won't explode. Now, I actually really like there's a lot more emphasis on in-game activities here overall. These are nice little things to have, you know, maybe between the other activities or while you're maybe waiting for one of the panels to begin or something like that. I'm really there more for the panels, but I really appreciate the work that the North American team has put in, all who worked on it. You know, the community team. I'm not sure exactly how the dynamic works. I know the community team does a lot of planning and a lot of really hard work on a lot of this stuff, and I think they've come up with an excellent array of activities for people who may be wondering, well, what the heck do I do after the opening keynote? You know, there's the panel this, panel that, but you know, what is there to do? Looks like you got quite a few things that you can go line up for. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you and remind you how close we were to FanFest overall. So that's going to be a wrap for me. I actually got to go eat and then get to sleep because Pyros comes out tomorrow, and I'm going to be streaming when the servers come live. They're supposed to go live at 2 a.m. Pacific, but I think weekly resets now 1 a.m. because of daylight saving. So the servers could go up anytime between that, so I'll probably be live from 1 to 2. And then as soon as the servers actually come up, then, you know, that's when we'll be doing it. But anyway, just wanted to share this video with you guys talking about those activities. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and stay tuned. I'm sure I'll have a Pyros opinion video by the end of this week. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. And until then, take care.